As a parent, I chose Montessori because I saw something happening in that classroom that was just magic. Children were working as if it were play, and yet they knew it was work. And I wanted that for my children.
One particular thing is that he's doing cursive writing, and I've seen him working and working and working on it at home. He is happy about learning, and that's what I really want for him, to be happy about learning.
It's just a quiet self-confidence where she knows she can do this. She can put a coat on when she's 3 years old, or, you know, draw some shapes or water the plants. You know, when she was quite young, she was doing all these different things.
Well, I think they're respected for who they are, each individual little person, and I liked that about it, and I think that that has benefited each and every one of my 4. And I see them kind of blossoming in this environment. It's delightful.
I would say go to a school and observe a Montessori school. You will probably walk away like I did, saying, this is wonderful. This is what I want for my child.
It doesn't take long to realize a Montessori classroom is different from most other classrooms. The children are actively engaged, working independently. A closer look reveals each child is involved in working with hands-on materials that stimulate all of his or her senses. Materials that communicate complex concepts in a concrete way.
Like the materials get you interested in because you're doing something and it doesn't make it seem like you're doing work, and you can still have fun while you're learning.
When I learned to tie my shoes, I liked it. I was excited, and I think it worked.
All the materials in a Montessori classroom are organized into one of 5 curriculum areas: practical life, sensorial, language, math, and cultural. Montessori materials are carefully sequenced so that each activity has an orderly and logical process to follow. This allows children to organize their thinking and problem-solving skills in a clear way and to absorb this knowledge through their senses. Small children have many life skills that they need to learn to achieve independence. Respecting a child's desire to be independent is a cornerstone of Montessori philosophy. Children develop a sense of pride when they're able to do things for themselves. Maria Montessori was one of the first educators to recognize that children learn best when they're engaged in hands-on activities. She believed that children need to move freely in their environment and to investigate whatever interests them. For these reasons, Montessori insisted that the classroom be beautiful. Through years of observation, she was able to develop a curriculum that appealed to all of a child's senses. Young children have a natural ability to learn language skills that diminishes as they grow older. Emphasis is placed on learning the sounds each letter makes rather than the alphabet. Throughout the curriculum, children are developing the small motor skills they will need to be a successful writer and the auditory and visual tracking skills necessary for learning to read. Objects and images are used to begin the association between beginning sounds and names. The child learns that snake begins with a S sound, that horse begins with a H sound, or that dog begins with a D sound, and so on. Most adults who were taught in traditional educational settings are fascinated by the power of the Montessori math curriculum. As the child becomes more comfortable with each material, the concept of numbers becomes more and more abstract. Like the language curriculum, when the abstract symbols of numbers are introduced, the child has a deep understanding of what each symbol represents. Any child who has learned math in a Montessori classroom knows the difference between 1,000 and 100 because they have seen the difference and felt it in their hands many times.
They kind of cut it down to the real basics here and help you understand what actually goes on.
As you become more familiar with Montessori materials, you begin to see the elegant philosophy behind how each activity works to build the child's understanding of the world around her. Matching and tracing activities continue to build the child's ability to identify and name individual states, countries within continents, and continents within a world map.
I liked how you could move at your own pace instead of having to work in the same classroom with everyone at the same time.
Each material provides the child with the potential to correct his or her own work, making the process of learning an independent venture. Children often take advantage of their freedom to self-correct by experimenting with all the different ways to do a single activity, satisfying their curiosity about what works and doesn't work and why. Unlike most schools, children are allowed to continue with their work as long as they want to. Over a few days of observation, we may notice a child repeating the same activity many times. Children decide for themselves what activity interests them and naturally repeat that activity until they are ready to move on. Children develop a readiness to grasp abstract concepts at different ages. Montessori teachers follow the child's own sense of what they are ready to learn. In their primary role as observers of the child's progress, they present materials when the child is ready to take on new work. Through this freedom, the child becomes more comfortable, taking the time to contemplate all aspects of an activity: the feel, the visual appearance, the sound of the materials, even the smell. This curiosity to explore the sensual world around them is part of what makes learning fun. The children enjoy the process over the product. Part of becoming independent learners is taking responsibility for themselves and the classroom environment. Each child learns to take responsibility for their own belongings and to master the skills of taking care of him or herself. Children also feel secure in the knowledge that they can find the materials they wish to work with neatly stored in a particular spot in the classroom. They are in turn responsible to put the materials back where they found them, and to clean up after themselves.
We're taught at an early age, in 3 to 6, that sharing and being kind to one another is the right thing to do, to care about other people.
I want to do it.
If another child is using the materials a child is interested in, he or she learns to wait patiently, respecting the rights of others.
And now can I do it?
Unlike most educational environments, children are able to enjoy the learning process without competitive pressures. Each child begins at his or her own level and progresses at his or her own pace. Each member of the community is welcomed and shares in the responsibilities and pleasures of learning.
And there is this love of learning. The children are turned on because they are successful. They understand it. They see it. It makes sense. It's beautiful. And they want to do it. And they're not doing it for anyone else other than themselves. When Maria Montessori first sat down and envisioned this, and it's coming about hopefully full circle, especially now that it's in the public schools, that it's good for everyone. It's a way, it's holistic, it's environmental. It really hits everything that, as human beings, we would want our world to be.
Sometimes I feel that my enthusiasm and respect for the Montessori method is a little unrealistic to some people, but it's really simple. The method works. It just works.